good day. Welcome back to the Freducation podcast. I'm Fred Johnson, your host, and I'm here today with Curtis Haynes. Curtis, thanks for joining.
I'm here, man. Excited to be here.
Yeah, great to have you, man. So,
awesome.
Curtis is a high school teacher. Been at it for a few years now. So, tell us a little bit about before we get into that. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up? What's your background?
Well, I am what you would call a certified military brat.
All right.
Mom and dad were both in the military. So I was in Washington State, Panama City, went to college in Montana, grew up everywhere. It seemed like that's why my accent is kind of everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. It is one of those things of growing up, I was everywhere.
Yeah.
And we were in Hawaii, Germany. It's one of those things of just growing up and meeting people every other year, basically.
Dang. So
really
Panama
fun.
City, Panama, or Panama City, Florida?
Panama City, Panama.
Cool. That's a big distinction. I've heard of people actually flying to the wrong one by accident. Okay.
It's out there. It happens.
Okay. Cool.
Panama City.
So, all right, you grew up like kind of all over. That probably felt normal to you at the time, but was it hard to constantly have to make new friends?
No. I was fortunate because of my personality, my family. We are just a big group. I come from a large family. My dad's the oldest of 11.
Ooh.
So really never met a stranger.
All right.
My mom never met a stranger. So we constantly meeting people, saying hi, saying hello, introducing ourselves. My dad went up the ranks, so did my mom. So we went to a lot of parties and constantly having to say hi to kids all the time. So saying hi to anybody is and was now still second nature. It's just awesome. What it is, man.
I'm sure that served you super well.
Oh yeah.
I noticed because Curtis and I met at a teacher training when we were both teaching business class, and then I got to be part of one on the other side facilitating it. And you've got that energy, you got that excitement, that enthusiasm. So where did you finish high school, and then did you go straight to college out of high school, or how did that go?
So I finished high school in Tacoma, Washington.
All right.
Mount Tacoma High School, represent for sure. Class of '97.
Okay.
Really good class.
Pre-cell phones, pre
all
that.
Yeah. Oh man. Yep. And then I played football. Got a scholarship to the University of Montana.
Okay.
At Butte. It looks like butt. Everybody, it looks like butt. Butte though. It's Butte. Butte. And as a matter of fact, big shout out to them. St. Patty's Day is the biggest day of the year for that school. As you know, St. Patty's Day just happened.
Yes.
So it's one of my biggest holidays, right next to Christmas.
All right.
So I went there. Funny thing is, we all think about our paths and the paths we take. Well, back then, coming out of Seattle, Microsoft was really big. My uncle's big into computers. We have a family friend of ours that actually worked for Microsoft at the time. Still does. Really big guy, really big wig guy. I thought I was going to be into computers.
Yeah.
And first day of college, I'm into intro computer class. I'm there. Okay, cool. Yep, I'm there, and we're having a good time. And I was having too much of a time. And the computer science professor told me to wait after class. I was like, okay.
You got in trouble in college?
I thought this is my big break. Okay, this guy's gonna finally see me. Okay, awesome. And he goes, hey, listen, you have a great personality. It's a lot. Computer science guys don't usually have that. Have you thought about anything else? Just to see where I was at. Because I was just so into it. I was so into it. And he was like, maybe you need to think about business then. Because I was like, yeah, because I wanted to do business. That's one of the things that really drove me. And, computers and business, I wanted to do something like it. And he was like, maybe you should try it. And that's how it was.
So it wasn't like he didn't want you in his class.
No.
He saw something in you and he was like, hey man, there's a personality type that studies computer science. Which
absolutely.
I went to a computer engineering, I graduated high school in 2003.
Oh yeah.
I went to an orientation at UCF for computer engineering. And I looked around the room and I was like, I don't fit in here. These guys I like fiddling with computers and stuff, but I was like, these dudes have been coding 24/7 in their basement for the last 14 years, and I was like, I like to click on the mouse and type and stuff. So, but it wasn't poorly intentioned. He was like, "You've got something. You need to pursue this business thing." And so, did you immediately like follow through?
Oh, I was in. I was all in. I think business to me is just what it's about. My parents were big in the business. My dad had a soda company. It was called Fago. He was a distributor of Fago. Fago's a really big deal in Detroit. Okay. Everybody in Detroit, you guys already know this. Really big. My dad actually brought it out. This is going to be something that most people are going to freak out about. Fago is everywhere. There's music videos about Fago. I'm sure you may or may not have heard about it. So my dad brings Fago out he was the distributor, the only one for the state of California, Idaho, and Washington. He started it.
All right.
So really big deal. And ever since, growing up, I mean, that's what I grew up with.
Did you drink a lot of soda?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like on tap at home?
We had soda for days, and everybody loved coming over to our house because we had, just cases everywhere, any flavor. It was just great.
I would have been like 400 pounds.
Oh, man.
Sure. So, all right. So now, today, there's a movement of like, don't go to college, just start a business, yada, yada. So it's 1997. Your family is doing business. You weren't originally planning to do business in college. Was there any sense of that? Like, I'm not going to college to do business? Or you're like, I'm going to college, I'm studying computers. Like, how did that play out?
Believe it or not, I wanted to do a computer store, which was something that the computer science guy looked at and said, hey, you know what? Your business could be definitely it. Maybe it's not necessarily computers. Because my personality goes, there's a world out there that you just don't know about yet. And he was absolutely right. One of the things about just business and people and all this sort of stuff, we all need connective tissue to make it work. And that's what it's about. That's the piece. And that's the piece that really drove me to it, because my one skill is being able to talk to people and connect, network, and all that sort of stuff. That's why we're here.
That's cool.
That's why we're here, man. That's why we're here.
So you play football at the University of Montana.
Oh, yeah.
Where I imagine it's very cold.
Oh, my God.
I don't picture, like, are you the only black dude out there?
Oh,
like,
my gosh. For sure. There was a few of us out there. I'm sure they'll be in the comments of this video. There definitely was a few of us out there. But, it's like, it's funny because we all think and we all see sports and how do these athletes get there. I mean, a lot of these athletes, they have options as well. And when you choose Montana, you're really choosing an option. Like, you could have went somewhere else. And it's kind of strange because as athletes and just as people, you want to go where you're most wanted. And those universities up there, they definitely want us up there. So we were up there. Cool. There was definitely a few of us up there, but it was great. I mean, and the universities up there is something that I think a lot of people kind of underestimate. This university that I went to, Montana Tech, was rated like top 10 for engineering as far as value and stuff of that nature. It's something that, a lot of people think about college, right? There's a lot of different things to think about. But in the West, Montana Tech was voted one of the top ones.
That's awesome. So you end up doing business. So at the time, you're studying business you're learning it from teachers. How much of you like actually doing business versus learning about business was happening in college?
Oh my gosh! Well, here's the thing. My experience was I was ready. I was all about business because of my family background. My dad invested in a bunch of stuff, sodas and furniture stores and all this t-shirt companies, all this sort of stuff. So I knew right away when I got into college, I needed to get myself exposed to a variety of things. So believe it or not, when I was in college, I mean, we everybody knows eBay now, right? I had an eBay store. So, and I took a college
in 1997.
In 1997.
Before the internet.
1997.
Before you could Google
now
something.
we're into 1999 at this point. But, everybody remembers Blockbuster.
I knew
so,
eBay.
Oh my gosh, Blockbuster. So I had this idea. I took this course, and this Doug Abbott, shout out to him, Montana Tech. I had this idea of, hey, why don't we take videos from Blockbuster and put them on eBay? It was drop shipping before drop shipping.
So you kind of invented drop shipping.
Did I own any of these videos? No, not at all.
So you rent it from Blockbuster and then you sell it?
I would go to Blockbuster, get a list of all the tapes they had for sale.
Oh, so you bought, okay.
And wouldn't even own them. Yeah. Wouldn't even own them. And put them out there. And if this Blockbuster didn't have it, I'll go to the other Blockbuster or any other knockoff movie place.
Yeah.
So
Hollywood Video.
Oh my gosh, they're out there. So that's what I did. And in college, it was really great.
Yeah.
And that's how I made it through. I mean, it's just amazing. On top of that, I was in sales. One of the things that I had a really good mentor while I was in college.
Cool.
And he was really saying, hey, you need to sharpen up your sales skills, this sort of thing. And I said, okay. So went on, became a telemarketer.
All right.
Back when telemarketing was actually an honest profession. Not saying it's not honest now, but it's more automated
different.
now.
Yeah,
it's different.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
But back then, you could actually do it, and I made quite a bit on it. So
awesome.
Really fun.
If you can do that, you can do anything.
Oh, man. It was great.
That's wild. Okay, so you go through college and you do that. When you come out of college, was the idea to go get a job or start a business, or did you know what the plan was?
Oh, for sure. So when I was in college, I had a little shack, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom shack.
In Montana?
In Montana.
All right.
And at the time, I was a telemarketer manager, right? Making some money.
Okay.
And most people, while they're in college, they have they're renting.
Right.
So one of my friends was renting from this guy, and this guy Reno, who I owe everything to. Reno, thank you.
Okay.
He started renting me this place, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom place, and I just loved it. I said, man, this place is great. I want to buy it.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, wait, hold on. He would come in and see me. He goes, how are you able to afford this?
Yeah.
I said, well, I have this other job.
Yeah.
I have a football scholarship.
Right.
I'm on full scholarship. I have no expenses, no bills.
Yeah.
I have this eBay store.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm kind of crushing it.
I'm actually doing fine. Everything's fine. I have no bills. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And he was like, okay. And he couldn't believe that this student was willing to do this, but he didn't know my background. Like, my parents was house flipping. My dad was a house flipper. I mean, I was like ready to start dabbing into it. I knew it'd be cheaper for me to buy it.
Yeah.
So, 2000, I bought my first house, and I knew then, hey, wait a minute, I could probably do something in real estate,
right?
Because I bought and sold that house.
Yeah.
Then I bought and sold another house, and then rented it out. It just really started. So I flipped 2 houses before I even graduated college.
That's wild.
Yeah, man. So when I saw the opportunity of a job at, whatever thousands of dollars, I said, wait a minute, I can make that in a couple months.
Right.
Why would I want to go
living?
Why would I want to go do a job?
Right.
I mean, that's and people forget, like, this is 2002. I mean, this is this is a long time ago.
Yeah.
And
pre-smartphones.
Right. So to have that idea, to have that, and my dad really helped me. I'm not going to ever. My dad never directly told me this is what I want you to do, but he dropped all those hints, like there's a way to do this. So I was able to take that, and then when I graduated, I said, okay, I did all this. Unfortunately, I have to bring this up. I have to say this. 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
And all the banking, everything stopped.
Right.
You could, everybody out there could probably attest out there how crazy it was. So I said, all right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to, I love cars.
Yeah.
I love cars. So at that point, I said, okay, I know this is going everywhere right now. But as you know, my life is everywhere.
Deal, man. Yeah.
Okay. But I said, all right, I'm going to learn how to kind of manage cars.
Okay.
So I went and worked, got a job at a time when there were no jobs, supposedly, right? Yeah. Supposedly, hey, it's, after this event that changed our history,
right.
Yeah. There was no jobs, but Ryder Truck Rental actually called me and said, hey, I know you want to be in sales, but we have this truck rental thing that we think you could actually do.
Okay.
And I had the eBay like business part of it. He goes, but this is like way bigger volume, way bigger this.
Yeah.
And so that's where I was at. And I said, okay, the moment I could get, and I told him flat out, hey, listen, I have this house flipping thing because everybody wonders, even back then, like if you're house flipping, why are you getting out of it? And I'm like, well, 9/11 just happened, so here we are.
Volatile market,
and that was it, man. I started that and worked in Allentown, Pennsylvania. It was one of the business truck rental places.
So you moved from Montana to Pennsylvania.
To Pennsylvania.
Sold your house in Montana? Or
yep, sold it. Took that money.
Did you make money on it?
Oh, for sure. Oh my gosh, it was. I think sometimes people talk about money and you sometimes have to put things into perspective.
Yeah.
And I was making a little bit over $40,000 with Ryder. This was 2000. That was a long time ago, but
like $1
$1 bajillion. Like but think about it. Right out of college, you felt rich.
Yeah, for sure.
Felt rich. So I made $30,000.
Yeah.
Off this one house.
Like you lived in it.
And I lived in it. So now I'm like, okay, now I'm out. Now, so I did. I just rented because I didn't know the actual area.
Yeah.
And it was my brother's senior year at Penn State.
Okay.
I don't know if we talked about that before, but my brother was this big Penn State guy, Michael Haynes Jr., and I just wanted to watch him his very last year. It was magical. So
that's wild. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then started doing real estate right after that.
In Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So fast forward, you and I met around 2021-ish at a teacher training. So that's like 17-year fast forward there. But how did you go
for sure.
Because when I met you were still into real estate.
Oh yeah, still
and
am.
doing a million things, doing business. And we met at a business teacher, high school teacher training.
Correct.
And it was funny because anytime you go to a teacher training, in this case there's like 20, 25 people, there's always like a handful of teachers that are kind of checked out and they're kind of like, yeah, I'm here because I have to be, like can I just leave early? And then there's a handful that are like sort of into it, and there's a few that are like super into it. And you were one of those,
that's right.
Which was awesome.
That's right.
But I think it was your first year, and I think remember you were telling me that you had been a substitute teacher prior to that. So
correct.
How do you get in from business and real estate? Like, what brings you to say, I'm going to be a substitute teacher? I'm going to be a teacher. How do you? That's a big.
Oh yeah. Well, so here in Orange County and all over Florida, flipping houses, buying and selling cars. Unfortunately, another traumatic event happened. Yeah. COVID happens. Yeah. Everything pretty much shuts down.
Yeah.
So I get the word that, hey, Orange County is so hard up on teachers right now that substitutes are at a really high demand.
Yeah.
And I go to work at my dealership over in Castleberry.
Car dealership.
I go to the car dealership. We're dead.
Yeah.
I mean, my assistant's looking at me. My car salesman's looking at me. I'm like ducking back in the office, which I never like to do. Yeah. But I'm like, okay, what else could I be doing?
And is it a commission job? Like y'all are not getting paid?
Not for them. Yeah. I own the place, so it's no big deal for me. So I'm like, wow, this. If I talk to anybody, they're feeling weird.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna pay you guys. Yeah. Regardless.
Cool.
And I think I'm going to go teach.
Yeah.
I'm going to go...
So you own the place.
Yes.
And you were basically saying, if we're going to make less money right now, I'll take the cut.
Yeah.
So that's really good leadership. I feel like a lot of owners and business owners are like, let me do me first. Good luck.
Right.
And I don't know if you're listening to Dave Ramsey or if you're a Ramsey guy at all, but I remember hearing him say that when the economy was going down. He was like, if I own the business, I'm the one... It's the first one that's not going to get paid.
That's right. And that's the way it should be.
That's awesome.
That's the way it should be. And I was like, you know what? Let me step away from this.
Did people in your business know this? Like, I just feel like anyone's like, oh, you're going to go teach, huh?
My assistant definitely knew this. I'm
just curious as to people's reactions.
My salesman really was like, he was nervous. Because
if he's going to teach him, he was nervous.
He was nervous. He was like, wow. But here's the thing, like, I knew the business. I mean, we've been selling cars for 7 years.
Yeah.
So I've had my assistant there for 5 of the 7.
Yeah.
The salesman was there for 3 of the 7, so the last 3 years. He unfortunately left like a year ago, but at the time, I mean, we're all, really good people together. Yeah. So it's like, hey, look, you know what?
They're not numbers that you're
this is no big deal. I mean, if you guys stay here, I can go over and do this. And I've wanted to be somewhat of a teacher. Like in my corporate feeling of life, I feel like at the end of the day, that's what you're doing. Yeah. You're constantly training and showing people what to do. Yeah. With my contractors, with other, hey, this is what needs to happen. Yeah. And then when I stepped into Freedom High School, I was like, wow. I, went through Kelly Services. Big shout out to Kelly Services.
Yeah, I've been through that.
They've really helped me through it. And when I got to Freedom, it was amazing. It was 100% amazing.
This is 2021.
This is 2021.
So pandemic's happening.
Yeah, happening.
But school's in session because it's Florida.
I'm there at the spring of 2021.
Okay.
I'm there at the springtime. Okay. So
about a year after the shutdown.
Right. Yeah. I'm at Freedom High School, and oh my goodness, it was just great. I got to really deal with the students and talk to them about cars, and talk to them about not just whatever the subject I was covering for that day, but I was gravitating because I love cars.
Yeah, and you were there's some substitutes that show up and they're like, all right, I'm going to sit here at my desk and do nothing. And you're like engaging.
I'm engaging. Yeah. I love because this is a time of life where they get to really talk about things.
Oh yeah.
And students are just one of those things. They want to know everything.
That's what I love about high school.
They want to know everything.
Yeah.
So I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in. And the moment they know that I flip houses or do cars, they want to talk about
They're fired up.
There's always, everybody knows there's always 1 or 2 students that are really into cars. Yeah. And it was just such a good feeling.
That's awesome.
And then I finally got to be in a business class. Yeah.
So at the time you're sub at different classes every day.
Yep.
Like you're not a permanent sub in one. Like you're going to a different classroom every
Correct. Coach Rob, the sub coordinator, really treated me well. Really looked after me. Yeah. He knew I was green, but I was consistent. I was there every day.
Cool.
Familiar with the system. Sometimes it's not always work, right?
Yeah.
And but he found work for me, and sometimes he would say, "Hey, tomorrow, you may not be able to be here." So I said, "Okay," but usually I was there, and I kept asking, why is there no business? That's weird. I'm here covering math, science. I'm doing all this stuff. Like, where's the business class at? Like, where are they? She's like, well, there really isn't that business class yet. Like, really not here yet. Yeah. And I'm like, well, that's weird. So, I've been going around the district, and I cover other schools and all this sort of stuff. And he finally says to me, hey, one day, and I'll never forget this. He goes, hey, there's a business opportunity. Someone's going on vacation. You'll be there for like a week.
Same class for a week.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So I'm there, and it was magical.
It's awesome.
It was magical. In that week, I got to see the students. We got to have fun. Really go over somewhat of a lesson plan. Yeah. Hey, this is what we're doing today. We're not just doing a worksheet. No, we're building towards something, and not just building towards something in regards to just going over what it is for the week.
Right.
We're actually able to build with some rapport with the actual students, and that's something most subs never ever get to do. Yeah. And when I did that, and I helped that week, I don't know the student's name, but I helped them sell a car as well.
Like a real car. Like not like, car. Hey, we're talking about what it would look like.
No, like a real car. I walk them through all the steps, how to make it look nice.
No one ever learns in school. Like, that's such an important skill that you graduate high school, college even, and you have no idea how to do that.
Exactly. And this guy, he thought I was the best. He thought I was the greatest. I'll never forget that Thursday. I was there Monday. By Thursday, he sold the car. He hasn't sold his car in like 2 months.
Wow.
He could not sell it. Yeah. And I helped him. And he gave me this hug, and he was like, man, we need more teachers like you that's actually here to actually teach us. Yeah. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. So time goes on. I'm going to fast forward a little bit. I apologize.
Yeah, all good.
One day, in the morning as a substitute, they then tell you, hey, this is what the plan is.
Right.
He says to me, hey, the district's here today, and I think there's a new business program coming out.
Yeah.
I want you to actually meet them and talk to them.
As a sub.
As a
putting
sub,
you in front of,
talk to them. And I'm like, I'm in. I'm in. I've been, I've been in the corporate world. I'm not really scared of anybody.
Right.
I mean, we're all people.
Yeah.
And I know that I can talk to anybody, so I'm not scared.
Yeah.
So I went up there and I talked to the district people, and they said to me right then and there, hey, there's this new program of entrepreneurship. You should definitely be in it. We got to find a spot for you. There has to be a spot for you somewhere. Yeah. Just keep in contact with the school and this. And I said, okay. They said, well, why are you doing this? Yeah. And I said, well, there's students that need help.
Right.
They just need that little bit more help.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to do it, whatever that little bit is. Yeah. And it's different for every student. They love that answer. They said, well, go ahead and apply. Yeah. And I did. As soon as the position opened up, I applied. I had Coach Rob, who was he was the coordinator there, and the principal that's no longer there. I think she's at another principal, but she wrote another letter on my behalf as well. So, it's really exciting, and I'm so glad to be there. It's just been great.
That's cool. So I feel like there's a lot of people that in that position that would have been like, hey, I'm a sub, and somebody comes to them and was like, hey, you need to go talk to this people. They'd be like, like, I'm not getting paid for that. Like, I'm just a sub. I'm not. Yeah. I think it's really cool that you, instead of being like, nah, like, I'm not getting paid for that, like, an opportunity that you said, hey, I'm going to step out and I'm going to meet these people. I don't have to. And then it led to getting to do something that you love. It led to an opportunity. That's really cool. That a lot of people take that position of, I don't get paid for that. It's like, well, sure, but if you take this step, that might be something that you start to get paid for.
Absolutely, man.
Cool. So now you went from being a sub to becoming a full-time business teacher. Oh, was that in the middle of a school year, or was it in August? Like, did you start
August?
Okay, good. It's just hard to start in the middle of the year.
Oh no, yeah, that would have been tough, especially as a first-year teacher.
Yeah.
And that's something that I was not prepared for. We all think that we've all been in job orientations and stuff of that nature. Yeah. What it's going to be like, and it's not at all what you think it's going to be like, but it is kind of what you think it's going to be like. Yeah. It's so different. Oh.
I don't think anything can prepare you for the first day in a classroom teaching, except for substitute teaching. Like, that's because you can talk about like I majored in education, so we talked about it all the time. Yeah. But that's not what I had a couple great teachers, and they were awesome and impactful. But what prepared me was, during my 4 years in college, I was a volunteer at the high school. I was volunteering with different organizations, and at the time, this isn't the case anymore, but when I was in college at UCF, so it was in Orange County already, to become a sub, the requirement was you need a high school diploma.
Oh, wow.
They ended up changing to 60 credits or an AA degree, but at the time, you could have been 18, fresh out of high school, and you're a substitute teacher. And so they ended up changing it while I was in the process. But I remember my junior year of college was the first time I was a substitute teacher. And so my senior year, I took classes 1 or 2 days a week, mostly online, and then 3-4 days a week. If I wasn't interning, I was subbing, and that's what prepared me, because you got to be in there doing it. Oh yeah. So what was it like? You jump in, now you're a business teacher, new school to you. So you kind of knew the kids from subbing. But what was that like walking in? Because I feel like that first teacher experience is you hear stories.
It's different for sure. I think for me, because of real estate, and I've done a lot of stuff with real estate and with cars and talking to various groups of people. I'm not scared to talk to a group of people. Yeah. The part that was different was understanding the procedures, the routines, the kind of class rules that you got to have, and it's 2022. It's not 1997. Right. So that's something that's that's different. I have never stepped foot in a classroom. Never stepped foot in a classroom. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So that part was just unbelievable. And I think you watch videos of what to do with certain kind of students, stuff of that nature, and it is just different when it's in front of you.
Yeah.
And he's not acting like they do on the video.
Right.
You know, you're doing this and you're doing that, thinking it's going to happen the way you think it is on the video. It's definitely not happening like that. And it's happening in real time.
Yeah.
And you have 20, class size of 35.
Yeah.
You got 34 of the students looking at you like, what are you going to do?
Yep. Because they're going to respond accordingly.
Yeah. Are you going to let this slide? You going to let this slide? And I think that's where, we've all seen teacher videos of things that's getting way out of hand.
Yeah.
And my style is not that. I'm not going to, there's no need to be that aggressive to any student.
Right.
Or any person for that matter either.
Yeah.
I've just been in that environment of my own employees. Right. They're gone. I mean, you want to keep them in there.
Yeah.
Granted, students have nowhere really else to go.
Which is worse, because if they're not leaving, they're being more defiant if they disagree with you.
It's wild. It's wild. And that's something that, I think for all first-year teachers out there who come from anywhere else, these students cannot get fired.
Yeah. So they'll be back in your room the next day.
They'll be back.
Yep.
They'll be back.
Yep.
So you gotta relax yourself and kind of create that world of, or that situation of, and more environment of, hey, we're gonna work through this.
Yes.
It's not me versus you. It's us together trying to figure this out. What style they need, and I think that fits for me. For me growing up, I was a student that needed constant approval. I needed I needed to know that I was doing it right, and once I had it right, you could then leave me alone.
Right.
And not all teachers are ready for that.
Yeah.
I know teachers, everybody has a student that just comes to you for everything, and that was partly me. I'll come to you and say, does this look right?
Right.
And that's it. And other than that, I'm off to the races. And it's just really understanding how these students are. That's what we as teachers have to really do.
Yeah.
We have to really take a time out and say, hey, okay, what's really happening?
Right.
What's really happening with this student? What does the student need? Because they are not able to tell us what they need.
Yeah.
They're so young, they don't even know.
Yeah, they don't have the words for it.
They don't even know.
Yeah.
Right? They're just frustrated. Or, especially with, business, what really happens is, we're writing essays, we're talking the whole time, and all of a sudden right now we're in the fourth quarter. Well, I gotta do two-step math.
Yeah.
And that's where the emotions come in. That's where everybody else is getting it, but you're not getting it.
Yeah.
And you feel embarrassed or frustrated or this or that. That's when it gets a little weird. And that's when us as teachers have to be able to see, okay, what's going on, and really, really hone in the skills.
That's a huge skill that I think a lot of teachers don't get. I know when I was first starting teaching, it's a little different when you're coming, like I was 22, my first year teaching, I had a kid who was 20. He turned 20 in October, like he was held back a year, he came from another country, and so I was like, I never told him my age, but I was like, this dude is like, he's a peer of mine. But the common thread being told to me by other teachers, by older teachers, by college classes was like, you got to be tough, don't smile till Christmas, all this, and you just got to really set the tone. It was like the more and that wasn't my personality,
right?
But the more I tried to play into that role, the more it would like pit the students against me.
Correct.
And it just made my first year where I really tried to be like that, just butted heads. And the big transition when I went, my last couple of years of teaching, and it just got better, the more experienced and the more I did it. But when I went from feeling like I'm the teacher and I need you to get this, like I need to pass this information off to you and you have to get it, when I switched from that to like, you need to get this information, but I'm your coach, I'm your mentor through it, and I'm going to walk you through this process. I'm here to coach you and step you through. It changed the game because it was like they saw you as an advocate instead of like, oh, this guy's coming down on me. And when they feel like they can come to you for assistance rather than approval, that it changed my relationships, it changed my joy. Like I enjoyed the classroom rather than, oh, I gotta get these kids in line. Darn kids is what all the teachers say.
Exactly it.
It was awesome.
Exactly. And you're always, I think people sometimes feel like, as you watch all this stuff out there as a new teacher, there's always going to be those 1 or 2 students that just, you zig, they zag.
Yeah.
You could be mean, they want you to be happy.
Yeah.
You could be happy, they want you to be mean. Wait a minute here, hold on. Like, you got to be yourself.
Yeah.
And once you're yourself, now you can see what that student then needs.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I just, look, I will die on the hill of being myself. I will die on that hill and then say, okay, I'm willing to adapt and see what this student needs. Because if you're not yourself,
that's where the burnout happens. Yeah. That's where you're just, you're looking forward to Friday, looking forward to summer, and it's like, what are we doing here? That's
man, you know that, and I feel for the new teachers that really don't know the material. Yeah. I mean, and then on top of it, we didn't even talk about material yet, right? We didn't even talk about that part. Yeah. We didn't even talk about systems or trying to log in and Skyward is down or all this sort of stuff. Like, we didn't even talk about that yet. Yeah. It's just like, wait a minute. Yeah. So once and whether you're a serious teacher or a not serious teacher, you got to be yourself to be able to roll with whatever the situation is.
Yeah.
Because you'll lose yourself quickly.
Yes,
very quickly.
What was the biggest surprise? Like, what was the biggest thing? Like, when you came into the classroom to teach, it was like, ooh, I wasn't expecting that or that.
Oh man, to me, I would say I was not ready, and this is going to sound. I got 2 versions of this, but the first version is I'm all set to go.
Yeah.
I was there during the summer. Right. I got some extra time in. I have everything all together. Yeah. I'm ready. Students come in. Yeah. Oh, I'm so ready. I'm saying hi to them. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's get this thing going. I got, going through names.
Yeah.
There's a lot of skits out there just on names. Getting through that.
Yeah.
And now, okay, let's get you guys logged into Canvas. You log into Canvas and nothing is there. And
they're like, I'm ready to go.
Oh. The reason nothing is there is because nobody taught me to actually post what was in Canvas.
Publish your course.
One button. Nobody told me that. I'm like, okay.
So now you got 30 eyeballs looking at you.
Wow. Here we are. And, obviously the first day they tried not to get you to do anything on Canvas. I completely get that. Yeah. So whatever first day that is.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I went through one whole period of just going, wow. Wow. I was like, I don't want to get on the phone. Because I feel like if I get on the phone, these students are going to just think I don't know anything.
You don't want them to know that you don't know.
Right.
So you gotta...
Right. But, here's the funny thing about teaching. Sometimes you don't know, and that's okay too, right? But I didn't know any of that. I was like, wow, I look completely crazy right now. Let's just get through this. I got through the first period, and awesome. The next teacher, my hallmate, he goes, just press publish. Just post it.
Could have told me that
last week, man. Gosh. So that was the thing, and like that really speaks to some of the things we talked about just off camera. Is just like sometimes those little things you need help on.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't know what you don't know.
Right. For sure.
I mean, believe me, I had Canvas all set up.
Yeah.
And I tell people like that is just an example. And I'm a type A minus personality, and it's just, oh man, here we are, right?
Yeah.
So there's that part of it, which is just the system itself. And then it was just the actual students.
Yeah.
You have a wide variety of students, and really at the end of the day, this is what you got.
Yeah.
This is your roster. This is it.
Yeah.
This is it, and that was something that all the businesses I have ran, all the different stores, and all the sort of districts I've been a part of. You really, I really have not been in one place for that extended period of time.
Right.
I think we all work somewhere.
Yeah.
And guess what? For 50 minutes.
Yeah.
This is it.
No, you're not leaving this room.
This is it. This is actually it. Yeah. And you have them for four quarters, all this sort of stuff. Here we are. And this is it. This is what you got to work with.
Like them or not.
Yeah, this is it. And You know, I just think that's the part that we all, as new teachers and teachers, we have to work at what it is we have. And this period isn't like that period.
Yep.
That was, I say all that to say, this period is not like last period.
Yeah. And you can't treat them the same. I mean, equally, but you've got to find a way to make it fit for them and make it impactful. Yeah. It's a challenge.
Oh, yeah.
It's every day.
And I'm as happy as could be.
Yeah.
At 7 a.m., I'm ready to go. 7:20 the bell rings, I'm ready to go. And first period, we all know, every teacher knows what I'm about to say. That first period's rough.
Yeah.
That first period's rough, man. I mean, half those kids are sleeping.
Yeah.
You got to get them going, get them waking up,
Yeah.
And then, the period right before lunch, you're dealing with that. And
after lunch. And
after lunch.
The end of the day.
And then,
all this stuff. I felt like this was the hardest thing. And you kind of learned to get there, but there were times when I felt like the class is happening during one of those crazy periods, and the announcements, somebody comes on the intercom, you get a knock on the door with a new student, the phone rings, there's a fire drill, the power goes out, and then now somebody's like bleeding or a fight starting, and you're just like, I'm only one human, like what am I supposed to do here? And it just felt like chaos was. You have to be kind of like, you need a plan, but you need a plan B and a plan C, and you've got to be totally okay with things just not going at all according to plan. And I got to the point where I was like, I get new students all the time. And I got tired of going back to my desk to be like, all right, you need this, here's your, so I just started like, and my class was so big, I was like, forget a desk. I threw my desk in the closet, and I just started to wear my desk. I had a fanny pack on. I wear a clipboard. I have a
You're saying that right now.
And
fanny packs are back, so you're good.
It was a manny pack, and I just had. I was a walking office.
That's great.
But you do what you got to do, and I think people made fun of me for like a day.
Yeah.
And then they're like, that's kind of cool.
Let's go.
Actually.
Yeah.
And then I made it work for me. So
What's
been the most? The car thing was cool, but like you have encouraging things happen on a regular basis. Like, what's inspiring?
I will say this. Probably the thing that works the best, and I think this class, teaching entrepreneurship, is unlike teaching science. Okay, because most of the kids actually want to be there.
Right. They sort of picked it.
They kind of want to be there, and they have an idea. Yeah. And what I like is, I'm there to help you with that idea. See, I'm not like other teachers where like, hey man, I got this idea. Teacher goes, okay, I don't know. All right, well, okay, cool. Well, open up to page 1. No, you have an idea. Let's talk about it, Johnny. Let's actually talk about it. What is the idea? Let's talk about it. Let me see what we need to do to make that happen. Yeah. And then throughout the course period, we're able to go through a marketing plan. Yeah. Where to go downtown to actually get your license. All this sort of stuff. And I think for them, and for me as well, that's where the satisfaction is. Yeah. Because day one, they know right away I'm not a teacher. Like I am a teacher, but I'm actually a business person that's teaching.
Lecturing you.
Right? I'm not doing that. Yeah. And right away they know that that's different. Cool. And that's where it's fun. And you have these stories of students, and I know we're getting into it, but I just want to say that is where the day in, day out stuff happens. Yeah. Like, I got a student, fantastic guy. There's just certain students, in doing these classes that are just going to do well. Yeah. He has an Etsy account. He has like 3 other kind of online accounts. I said, okay, this is what you need to do. Go to Goodwill, go to a secondhand store, pick it up, and put it out there. Yeah. Okay, he did that. Then he came back to me, hey, this worked, or what, the shirts were, I didn't take good enough pictures. Okay, well, let's work on that. Yeah. Let's work on that. Okay, let's work on that. And when you get to see as a teacher, it click and it actually make real change. Yeah. This guy, he's finding clothes that he never thought would even be possible at the Goodwill, for example. Yeah. And I said to him, I said, listen, man, you don't have to tell anybody you bought these clothes from Goodwill. You can just wear them yourself sometimes. It's worth it. I'm telling you, it's worth it.
Yeah.
And he just started, and he went from, we started with a little $20.
Right.
And now he's at like $400 a week.
Okay.
That's as much money as other people in his family make.
Right.
Like he's making legitimate money now.
Yeah.
And when you growing it up over time, seeing the different data points of it growing, and him getting more and more excited, different ways to do it, that's what it's about.
And that's so much more fun than being like, you're just gonna have to grind out a job for $8. It's just like you're doing something you enjoy, and you're seeing it grow. Like that's. And I think you mentioned it, like with business, they need to develop these ideas. Because you think about a math class or a science class, and props to all the math and science teachers out there. I started in math, but it was like, this is the problem and this is the answer.
Yep.
There's not, sure, there might be some creative ways to get to it, and of course you want to be innovative, but like, even with a cool science project where you're doing some sort of experiment, like, you put this in, and this is what happens. But with business, it's like, well, we'll try this, and it might fail, and then we'll try that. And you get to teach, like, I think you're really teaching kids, hey, try and fail, and then try again. And to see the light on their faces, like when something worked.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes.
It's awesome.
Yes.
Have you done any field trips or gotten to take them anywhere?
Yes. So, shout out to Maple Street Biscuits. If you ever been there, it is really good.
Great
really
business
good.
model too. I like the name, the question they ask when you walk in.
Oh man, Mike is really well. He does this area of the country. He's the rep. I went to a workshop, ran into him at his actual store. We just talked and jived, and so I took some students there. Cool. We're going to go to FedEx actually.
Cool.
And Amazon. That's the goal for this quarter.
Yeah.
I think something people don't think about with field trips. You need all these forms filled out. That is something, and for 200, and this one's going to be 400 for the Amazon.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
It's a lot of paperwork.
It's a lot of paperwork, and that's something. A lot of buses, a lot of coordination, all that sort of stuff. But the students love it, and being able to tie it in is where sometimes field trips don't necessarily work. The district may not approve it.
Yeah.
But when it's business.
Yeah.
Hey, everything's a field trip. Everything can actually apply. Anything can be go out into the field and actually learn about something. And that is awesome. That's what it's about.
It's fun. Well, those are memorable. Building those memories is where they learn. But I also found what was funny was I remember teaching business class, and kids aren't supposed to sell stuff in the hallway. It's like one of the rules. But I kind of made this argument with my leadership where I was like, well, we're not supposed to eat in class either, but like in culinary class, they eat, right? Like it's part of the deal. And I was like, this is business class. So we're doing business. Like I'm teaching them about business. And somehow, I don't know what rules we did or didn't follow, but when we were able to do things like that, they were outside of the box, but it was so hands-on, and they're handling money. And it was like, I understand why there's rules in place against some of these things, but it was such a, like, one of the biggest moments was when I had a kid who bought some stuff at the dollar store and sold it. Very low profit margin.
There you go.
But we made a spreadsheet. Dude was in middle school, and I was like, man, you could make, like, what if you bought that at Costco instead of here? Here's
there
the
you
prices. Go. Now, how many of these do you think you can sell a day? All right, what about in a week? What about in a month? How old are you? 12? 13? So by 16, you could have $30,000.
Yes.
You could buy a car and a house. And it was just like, for something you're already doing. So it was like, okay, maybe don't sell it in the hallway during class, but you have a skill.
You find a way to do it.
It's pretty cool.
Yes, man.
What do you think that leadership in schools need to know about kids or about teachers or about teaching that's just...
I think what leadership, and this is going to sound strange, I think because I'm an outsider, right? I am clearly not in the system.
Right.
I'm out of the system. Now I'm in, looking at it. I don't think they get constructive feedback enough. And I say that if you think about it as teachers for a second, think about the student that's constantly complaining.
Right.
you kind of tone that person out.
Yeah.
Whereas the one student who hardly ever talks comes and says something to you that actually makes sense. You're like, oh, okay, you know what?
Yeah.
That makes sense. And I think sometimes that's kind of what happens in schools. You have 4 or 5 teachers that just complain about everything.
Yeah.
And maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong about whatever. And sometimes that gets toned out.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate. I feel like the staff that I'm with actually listen to me.
Yeah.
And maybe because I'm active. I think
yeah,
you're active too.
yeah,
Like, hey, I'm not somebody that's just gonna sit in the hallway.
Right.
I'll use a good example.
Yeah.
I'm across from a bathroom.
Yeah.
You know, bathrooms is a high activity for students to hang out in. All this other stuff. They like to hang out and skip and all this other stuff in there. And you know, I'm at the end, so students really like hanging out in there. And I just said, hey, you know what? I sent an email whenever it's a little crazy. There, hey, I need you guys to come down here and get rid of these students.
Yeah,
that's it. And I think us as teachers, we don't necessarily allow them as admin to make the decision or make the call.
Right.
And if I called them every time there's students in there, it would be it would dilute the message.
Right. Yeah.
But if I'm like, hey, I really need you guys to come down. There's just like 7 students. This is too much. Okay. They're there. They're there.
That's
and
cool.
I think that's where the disconnect is. Yeah. And we need to allow the admin to actually do something.
Yeah.
I don't think, I think there's too many stories of admin and teachers. I think we just need to come together and say, hey, okay, what's actually doable?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And, you know, to speak on about your candy, you know, I think candy is just exploding everywhere. Right. And now, I mean, I know you've been out of it for like a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, they brought in different candy now.
Oh, it's allowed
now. Now
like certain kinds.
Now they're fundraising different candy.
Okay.
Which I think schools know. Hey, you know what?
It's gonna get bought and sold.
You have to bring some different candy. So they got pretzels now. They got this. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. But that's probably hearing enough complaining about the lack of variety and all this other stuff that's really happening.
Yeah.
You know, it's really key.
It's funny how I never went into administration by design, but I do think a big challenge they face is we have to make a decision that's best for the school or best for the kid, and they're not. Oh, and I think you need to keep the school clean. I understand that. If kids eat candy, it's not going to be clean. That's a reality. But I was like, I'm 39 years old. I learn better when I'm having a snack,
Correct.
or when I have some candy, or when I got some sugar or caffeine. So it's like I'm telling students you can't have this thing, but you know, here I am like sipping my coffee and having a snack. It's like, hey, put the food away. Like, they're humans, and I think there is an element of the school that treats 18-year-old high school students like they're kindergartners still, and there needs to be boundaries and rules, of course. But I think some of it could be rethought. Like, I just remember being shocked when I got to college and it was like, oh, you can just walk in and out, or you can just have a snack. Like, nobody's. Yeah. It was crazy. So another question as we kind of start to round it out. Right. I taught from 2007 to 2022 with some breaks in there, and the world of cell phones changed a lot. Like, my first year teaching was when the iPhone came out. And I went through 2 cycles of teaching where they put in a hard ban on cell phones, and it was enforced at differing degrees. But then, like, my last year teaching, I taught business, and I was like, our kids don't know how to use their phones for something beneficial. So what's the cell phone situation like? And is there a way that teachers, like, is there a way you can actually teach a kid how to use a phone, like, professionally? Or I feel like most places have just said, like, they're bad, so don't touch them. Like,
you know, I'm going to say this. I think right now social media isn't going anywhere. Yeah. I know there's a TikTok rule that just passed, and we're going to work through that. Yeah. But I think really at the end of the day, I teach social media. I just took 12 kids to a workshop. Yeah. Social media was one of the hot topics there. I think we need to harness the power of it.
Yeah.
I believe, I know some teachers out there is going to really kill me on this, but I believe there's a big difference between sending a quick text message and having a Twitter beef with somebody or an Instagram beef or whatever it is. Writing a paragraph.
Yeah.
And by coaching my students the difference, and most people know the difference, right? I mean, you're literally doing this for an extended period of time. Something quick, I have no problems with because I get it. I mean, your phone is going to go off. I know there's a lot of different, everyone has different policies. My thing is, if you're in a Twitter beef, this is not it. If you're going to do it quick, I completely get it. But, you know, I have one quick success story. I know we're almost done. I had a student 2 years ago with an eyelash company. She did lashes and eyebrows. Okay, she started off, and one of the P's in marketing is promote. I told her she just needed to promote herself. You know, we looked at her social media stuff, got that going, planned it out, and I think really us as a society need to understand at one point in time, farmers were scared of the plow. Okay, at one point in time, they thought computers, all jobs are going to go away from computers. It's not the case. We have to embrace this stuff and see what we need to do. Chat GPT is a whole nother topic with that. But how to use it. You know, my parents, and I mean, I'm not going to put them on full blast here. My parents didn't want me using a calculator. I mean, can you imagine? Oh my gosh! My dad had an activist thing. And like, what are we doing? We gotta adapt, and I think we need to be able to teach them the difference between a distraction and I guess whatever something real quick is. And that's really the difference. That student, you know, she made $1,000 a week the last 6 months. Wow. The last 6 months of school. In high school. The last 6 months of school, she made $1,000 a week because of this, because of social media. And I gave her a simple way for people to make an appointment online. Gave her a website. We went through, you know, in the business class, you got to go through this stuff. We showed her how to do a website, set up the website, set it up, click the button, set up the website. $20 a month. $20 a month website got her $1,000 a week.
That's an easy purchase.
No problem. No problem. She is really good. I mean, and you know, she already had some of the clientele, and it grew. But use social media. Find ways that we could work with these students to help them take it to the next level. Was it for all students? Absolutely not. But we got to be able to tell the difference.
That's a good word. I feel like the system and just adults in general are just like, oh, it's bad. Don't you know? And we complain, oh, kids are on their phones all day. Meanwhile, half the adults I see, like I'll go to the park. I have a 4-year-old, and I'm super judgmental about this, but I know I do it too. But like I'll go to the park and I'll be playing with my son. And I'll look around and I'll be like, the parents on their phone, the parents on their phone. And then we're all complaining about the kids. But I think the school system often takes the position of, oh, phones are bad, don't use them, which they're a distraction. No doubt about it.
I agree.
But if we take the position of we're going to pretend like they don't exist, we're not doing kids any favors by saying, like, so now they either need to hide it or they only use it outside. But nobody's ever been a positive influence on how to use a phone. How to make a professional phone call, how to do a cold call for business, or how to use social. Like, if you're gonna have a business in 2024, you need to have social media. You need to have a lot of it. You need to be on YouTube. You need to be, you know, making shorts, and this is their native language. Like they're good at this, so let's leverage what they're good at.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of schools are afraid, and there's reasons to have concern. But like you said, like districts that said can't use AI. It's like, well, we said you couldn't use calculators, and when I took calculus in high school, I could do problems that they couldn't do 10 or 20 years before because they spent an hour doing what my calculator did in 5 seconds. So now I can do something more advanced. The ability for a kid to scale something in 2024 and make money while they sleep that didn't exist when we were in high school.
I agree.
That like we're not we're not doing them any favors or service by not teaching them how to harness this thing. So props to you for doing that. Props for doing what you do, man. Teachers are heroes. So thanks for it, man. Any last words? Any final thoughts? Any way that people want to follow you or support you? Field trips you're fundraising for? You want to, get a quick word out about?
No, unfortunately, no. I cannot mix the two. One of the things, I got a lot of things. I love Apopka. I got a lot of real estate stuff going on up there. I swore to the principal that I would not mix the things together, because what happens is, I start hiring students or whatever now.
It's messy.
It's an issue. Yeah. But I do want to say to everybody out there, help the students learn the way they learn. Sometimes that's what we got to do. We try to force our learning style onto them, and that's not always right. So that's something that we got to always do and execute. At the end of the day, we have these plans. Our lesson plans sometimes completely go haywire, or we're weeks behind, but we gotta adjust and just keep on keeping on.
That's it. Awesome.
That's it.
Well, thank you, man.
Thank you so much for
appreciate
having
it.
me.
We got to do this again, man. We got a lot more ground to cover. So
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.